Hello,
Howdy,
Jesse.
howdy.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. You inspired me to wear a jacket now. I don't know if I'm going to do that every Friday, but
Yes,
I
I
did it for
like
the
your
last
background.
Friday in April. Thank
I
you.
am still fading in the background. Actually, need to get a different color background or jacket. That's what I need to do.
1% better. It's 1% better every week, right? I have a
I
background now.
I feel like I'm like in Star Wars. I'm like fading in the background after being hit with by a lightsaber.
Yeah, we haven't hit May 4th yet. We'll save something fun for
I'm
May
teeing it
4th.
up. I'm teeing it up for May
Uh-huh.
4th. Yep.
Well, we have a lot of news and it's been a busy multifamily week, month, season. Lots going on. A lot of stuff just in April too. This week, right? There's a lot of holidays, national event days. Like the biggest one after Easter was Earth Day.
Yeah.
You
What
saw a
would you
lot
do
of.
for Earth Day?
I existed. I, I breathed in oxygen and I drank some water.
Okay. So
What'd
you're
you do?
a consumer of the
Yes,
production of trees
yes.
and
I
plants.
I recycle. I give back to the earth. I plant. We're converting our yard to a clover only yard. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah, you mean my yard currently? Yes.
Yeah, it's not that much work, no, but it's great for the bees. It's great
This
for
is
the
true.
bees. So we're planting more clovers in our yard. So the
That's
dogs love
awesome.
it. It's like resistant to pets. Another tie-in for our show today about pets. But yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of good
that's
stuff.
awesome. Yeah, pets do fertilize yards. This is
Mhm.
true.
So did you see many Earth Day posts?
Uh, Not as many as I'm used to seeing. In all honesty, I'm used to seeing a lot of corporations do the Earth Day posts where they act like they care about the environment once a year, which is to be fair, some companies do
Hmm.
activities more than Earth Day
Yeah.
to give back. But yeah,
Yeah, that was on April 22nd, but April is Earth Month as well. April 24th was Bring Your Kid to Work Day. I don't know if you work from home, you don't have to go very far, but now that we've kind of moved away from, total remote working and more people going into the offices or hybrid, a lot of companies are getting behind bringing their kids to work. Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, and since I work from home and my daughter was sick, so that counts, right? She stayed home being
Yeah,
sick,
she got
so
to
I brought
see
her brought her
she
to
got to
work.
see Daddy work. Now Willowbridge posted something. It was a little teaser video. I don't know if they'll have more content coming, but they are posted the future of Willowbridge, like little leasing agents, little builders, little it's a nice little video that kind of gets people excited about it. And I don't know. I've seen companies do it in the past. I think last year RPM had a campaign about it as well. So kind of cool when you see the industry stepping into it and talking about that.
I like that. I think it gives kids a chance to see all the different sort of cogs in the
Yeah.
wheel, right? I mean, there's some incredible roles that are very impactful and very much so in front, where we get to see them,
Hmm.
right? People who sit behind desks, who greet people, for example. But then there's a lot of people that sit sort of behind the scenes, backstage, who are still doing very important work, but don't often get that like face time.
Yeah.
And it's important for children to see
No,
that like that.
100%. And, especially after like RPM Careers Week last week, right, where you're talking about the different kinds of careers. I mean, a lot of these books, that relate. I did a post last week about, kind of Richard Scarry, the little busy town stuff, right? They talk about the firefighter, the teacher, and the nurse and the grocery person, but the multifamily industry is a part of that too. Like the apartment manager, the maintenance technician, like all those folks are part of the busy town. So it's nice to expose kids to that who may end up becoming something in the industry.
Okay, well, who cleans up the hairballs then?
Property managers? I don't
Whose
know.
job whose job is that? I can tell you one thing: though the maintenance folks oftentimes end up having to do
Yeah, yeah.
that.
Now you probably have a lot of experience with hairballs because you have a few cats living with you, I think.
There are a few. Our average is about one hairball per cup of coffee
No.
that I have. So I'll let you
Okay.
do the math
Yeah,
there.
and if you're
Yeah.
wondering why we're talking about hairballs, it's because the last Friday in April is National Hairball Awareness Day. Something that I wasn't aware of that I wanted to, let you know, Eric, and I guess anyone else who's paying attention. Hairballs aren't just for cats or dogs or there's well, yeah,
What?
there's lots of kinds of hairballs. Actually, there are
So
crocodile
today I'm hanging out
hairballs.
with Connor here
Here, watch
at
this
David
video.
Lynn. He made
You got to be
some
kidding me.
beautiful artwork, and we found a hairball from our Cuban crocodiles. Woo! Guess what's inside? So all crocodiles cough up hairballs, especially when they eat, and our crocodiles have been eating a lot of feral pig meat. So we're gonna just pull this open.
I mean,
sometimes
that's
there's stuff
gross.
inside, sometimes there's not.
Wow.
Doesn't look like there's
Wow.
much inside of this one, but you see
Better
how the
out
hairs
than
are.
That's
Like it
gross.
rolls around,
I
rolls around,
guess.
rolls around, and it forms this ball, and then they cough it up, and it's so
Oh my God,
cool.
we're
One
gonna
time I
stop
found one
this.
with pumpkin seeds inside.
This is
One time I found one
this
with
is
crab
triggering
claw
for anyone that
inside.
has to deal with hairballs on a regular basis.
But I think
Yeah, I mean, to be
this
fair, this is a
one-
nicer looking hairball compared to the ones I clean up, I think.
It's
But
just
that's
an
a that's a
empty
hunk.
Yeah,
of
that's from a
hairball.
beast of an
either
animal,
way, I'm
though,
super
that the
excited,
crocodile
right?
ate.
Yeah, super cool.
I think that's the big difference here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't
All
you
right.
can't do
Well,
much better than hairballs, but we do have a guest that can probably top it, I think.
yeah. Why don't we bring in? Why don't we bring?
Hey guys,
Hey,
wow.
John. How are
Hey,
ya?
Justin, Eric. Thank you for having me.
Hey.
Yeah. Sorry for that
We're-
lead in, but it kind of
No.
relates to what you do and in your world a little bit. So why don't you tell us a little bit?
Well, first I got, being National Hairball Day, at one of our holiday parties, I wanted a drink. So I created the pet screening toasted cat hairball drink. It's coconut, Malibu rum, pineapple juice, cranberry, shake it good, poured over some ice, and then sprinkle on toasted coconut, which is the hairball. And it was
This
quite
is
a hit.
amazing. I hope people wrote that down. That's amazing.
I actually toasted the coconut on a pan and brought it in like a little Tupperware container so we could sprinkle the toasted coconut. But that was the hairball. So
I
and I
love
will
it.
admit that crocodile hairball, that was a very nice hairball. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that afraid to touch
One-
it, maybe, but yeah.
And if you have enough of them, you get to
Put on a
try it
beanie
twice.
and then just put on a little
So-
cap and be good to go.
Yep.
Well, happy Friday. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
That's
happy Friday.
amazing.
Yeah, glad to have you here.
Yes.
So John, tell us. You've been in the industry for a minute now, and you just recently had a successful raise. But I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to sort of how you got started. Why did you even start pet
Yeah.
screening?
So look, I'm an engineer by degree, but I'm very social. I don't really fit the mold of one, but I've always been like a problem solver. And I I went to IBM after being an engineer at ExxonMobil, went to IBM for like a decade in sales and was making all this bonus money for selling. So I started buying real estate truly as a hobby. And started managing my own rental properties. And then it led to a lot of friends that I had made through the years, both at Exxon and at IBM. And they said, John, go find me a house or two. By the way, I went and got my real estate license just so I could save the commissions because I knew what I wanted and I wanted to represent myself. And I grew a pretty successful property management company on the single family side of the industry. So it wasn't multifamily, single family assets. And all while doing that, I got involved in politics. So that was kind of maybe a different story for a different day, but I started on town council in my hometown and then eventually went to the House of Representatives in my state, which is North Carolina. And all while I was doing this, I was carrying my state's tenant landlord legislation. And I almost did it for a decade. I was 4 elected terms, 8 years. And so I really feel like I know property management really, really well. I know it from a lawmaker side. I know it from being a landlord, like owning my own rental properties. And I just started seeing a lot of challenges around pets. I love pets. I think pets are wonderful. But a lot of people, a lot of bad actors were starting to try to pass their pets off as like assistance animals, calling them an emotional support animal. And everyone was saying, call Representative Bradford. He's the kind of our expert in this area. And I don't know, I had this idea to go create a software product to help, my friends in the single family space navigate this. Oh, there's a dog. And then it's just grown. And we're almost celebrating 8 years. And it's been a lot of fun.
Wow.
I pinch myself every day actually about it.
That's amazing. And obviously the industry, I think the industry goes up, down, left, and right when it comes to this topic. I mean, typically it revolves around
Mhm.
dogs, but trust me, cats
Oh,
can
for
do some
sure.
damage as
Yes.
well. I think typically dogs are the ones that are considered bad actors, but I've seen I have some damage
Yeah.
on our furniture that very much so makes the resale value go down. But looking at dogs and the state of the industry, where is
Sure.
it today, and where do you think it needs to
Yeah,
be?
well, first of all, more pets are adopted than children born in the US. So just to give you an idea,
Wow.
pets are everywhere. I mean, they're obviously all over the world, but here in the US specifically, we like our furry friends, and they really become a fabric of our family. I mean, my screensaver on my phone is a dog that passed away 12 years ago, and she's still my screensaver. It's like you never really let go. And 70% of Americans have a household pet, and they just don't have one. They actually have an average of 1.6. So like I have 3 pets. How many do you each have? Two.
I'm gonna
All right.
say
So
two.
that's 9 between 3 of us on this call. So that's 3 apiece, right? So we're already
Right.
almost double the average. So, pets are real, right? And pets bring risk. I'm a pet lover. And part of the premise when I had pet screening is like, I don't think all pit bulls are dangerous. Pit bulls can be lickers and lovers. They really can. It's really how you raise a dog, if you will. But there's been a lot of, I would say, industry policies that have kind of just stuck around since the 60s regarding certain breeds of dogs. And I thought about this idea. What if I could create a software platform, just to help the industry think differently, right? I mean, I don't want to. I'm a big property rights guy, so I don't want to tell anyone how to run their business. I think if you have a property, you should run it the way you think it should be run. But if you had more data, maybe you'd make a different decision. So if you knew it was a pit bull, but you also knew it had been to canine good citizen class, you knew it was microchipped, you knew it had a veterinarian, you'd probably start to go, well, gosh, this is a pretty loving owner. So this is probably not what I'd call a fighting pit bull. And therefore, maybe you would take it. And that pit bull owner would be willing to pay a little more, pet fees, for example, just to have their dog. And so that was kind
Yeah.
of the whole premise behind it. But pets are everywhere in housing. And you're right, cats are a problem. Cats' mouths are actually very, very dirty. They harbor a lot of bacteria. And I've heard stories from maintenance personnel that said there was a crazy cat that like scratched them or bit them. And while we all would agree you're not going to die from that, that cat wasn't vaccinated because a lot of people do not vaccinate indoor cats, even though the law, North Carolina, for example, all cats and dogs must be vaccinated. But a lot of people don't do it because they're like, oh, it's an indoor cat. Who's it going to bother? But in the world of communal living, if a maintenance person goes in and gets bit by a cat or scratched by a cat, now you have to go to the hospital, get tetanus shots. And this is where plaintiffs' attorneys can get involved. So, yeah, cats can be an issue.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, lawsuits every once in a while do
They
get
do.
filed, and it gets to be a big deal. And ultimately, there's insurance companies, all right, that'll insure the
Sure.
building, and as long as they're not housing certain breeds, right, that's where I think a lot of the restrictions ultimately come into play. It's like, hey, look, we'll accept your breed, however, this has to be done versus, hey, look, sorry, our insurance says we can't accept this breed. We're just not going to take that risk.
You're right, but that's what's kind of compounded though some of the problem. And I will say there are a lot of insurance companies that are actually dropping their breed restrictions, and here's why: because while an insurance company will say you can't have this breeds, right? They'll redline 10 breeds. When it comes to the world of assistance animals, an assistance animal is not a pet, and so therefore the insurance companies cannot redline against an assistance animal even when it's that specific breed. In fact, HUD has a memo out about if an insurance company denies a particular assistance animal because it's a breed that they restrict, then they could be subject to Department of Justice action. So insurance companies can't redline against assistance animals. So what happens is, imagine if a apartment complex or community says we don't allow, we'll say Doberman pinchers. Well, if someone has a Doberman pinscher and that's their baby, they're going to say, well, I'm going to go see a therapist and make an assistance animal because you can't deny that. And so what we're trying to help the industry is think different about it. One, go find a new insurance company that allows all breeds. All dogs bite, even Chihuahuas bite. They might call it a nip, but it's still a bite, right? I mean, it still can pierce the skin. It's not going to kill you, but it's an issue. So the idea is,
I read a
yeah,
statistic there. I read a statistic that Chihuahuas are more likely
well,
to bite
yeah,
than,
they
than a
are.
pit bull. The difference is a pit bull bite
Well, they
probably
are.
going to hurt a
And
little
that's
bit
you're
more.
exactly right. So all dogs bite, and Chihuahuas probably are the worst offenders. But their bites aren't going to be as strong as a pit bull that has a very muscular bite. The point is, though,
Yeah.
if you could find an insurance company that allows all breeds, and then if you could just know more about the breed you're taking and the pet parent, because the pet parent, man, if you put me in a room all day long and I did not have hands and I had paws and I had to pee, I'm going to pee on your floor because I can't get out, right? And it's the pet parent for not letting that dog out on a regular cadence. It's
Yeah.
not the dog's fault. So this really is a two-way street. And so at Pet Screening, we created the Fido score, which is pretty neat. Like run those FICO score, but we call it Fido
Yep,
score.
yep.
And I don't know, we're having an amazing time, and we're really making people think differently about pets and pet policies, and maybe update and modernize the way they think about it.
So what happens though? Like if the ultimate goal is to have policies updated, I mean, what happens if almost all the communities or majority of the communities now accept pets all breeds? Like, is there a place where pet screening still
Sure. Yeah. Well,
exists?
for us, what it does is, because all pets bring risk, so think of a boxer. Boxers are great dogs. They're very energetic. They're excited. They have to be worked and run and walked. And so a boxer puppy, right? That's going to be a lot of risk. It's a puppy. It's going to nibble on things, baseboards, pee on your floors. It needs to be walked. And so even though it's not an assistance animal, it's a pet. Our FIDO score will show a housing provider. There's a little more risk here because of this dog, and it's not about the dog being good or bad. It's about the risk it's bringing to the asset, and so that is why a lot of our clients use us, because they want to know the household risk that they may be taking, and then they can decide how they might want to charge fees. Maybe a 13-year-old Shih Tzu that's female that sleeps all day is only paying $25 in pet rent a month, whereas a boxer puppy may be paying $40 a month. And then as that dog matures in our tool, the score improves. And plus, property managers can report incidents. So like to your point about a cat, if they do a move out on a cat and there's urine smell in the back bedroom and it's $2,000 to update that, a property manager reports that into our system, and that follows that pet owner and that cat in perpetuity, and we can share that data with the next property manager. So we've really built this monster database of pet incidents, and so that keeps our customers wanting to keep using us and staying with us.
Very interesting.
Oh, super cool.
Well, thank you for sharing that. No, I have, I think maybe one final question. What communities are doing just a really bang up job? Like they have an amazing, bark parks. They've got the showers. They've got, is there anyone that you can kind of think of that's just done such an outstanding job to really make a pet friendly?
I mean, there's actually several. Let me tell you the types of things that they're doing to make it better. Like a pet park. We did a survey with Jay Turner Research, and you really don't need all the fancy dog washing stations. They sound great, but they're actually expensive to maintain. What you really need is a dog park area, which is a simple fence, and then shade for the owners who are sitting there on their phones. So shade in your dog parks with some benches is so we see the most success come from the facilities that do provide poo bags, the stations where the bags have not run out, but actually keep them supplied. So it's great to have a poo station, but if you don't have the little bags, that doesn't help. And then of course the shaded things. And we don't do poo testing. A lot of people think, oh, PetScreen, you must do the poo testing. No, we don't do that. We just help make sure we stop fake emotional support animals and stuff like that. But just a good old dog park with some shade and poo bags is really what people want the most. So the communities that focus on those things, they can save a lot of money by not putting in a lot of that other fancy stuff, because it's not as demanding as you think, or as demanded as they may think.
I have an opportunity here. I think there's an opportunity for additional revenue. If you were to put a self-service beer cart or wine cart next to the shaded areas, I think you might retire. I mean, $1 billion unicorn idea. Just run with it, take it, do what you want. You can have it. Just thank me.
We have a few of those, Eric, in Atlanta, bark parks, right? You're saying bring that into the community.
I am saying this. That actually does it does. It's starting to exist. I want to see this, and it's a separate entity, right? But it's making tremendous progress. And it's not just about alcohol per se. Like they have TVs. I think they like show a sports game and stuff like that. And it's a it's a communal thing. Pets ultimately can be
Sure.
communal. Dogs obviously are traditionally that, but anyway, John, this is great. Any lasting thoughts?
Yeah,
Anything
no,
you like
look,
before we
well,
close
first of
here?
all, thanks for the riffing with me this morning and having me on your show. I mean, pet screening, we're a free service, so I mean, we don't cost anything to the property managers. I mean, it's kind of crazy statistic, but 1 in every 7 rental properties in this country is on our platform. So we're growing very quickly. It's a no cost, and and we love. Look, certain people need service animals. And they're not the problem. It's the people who are the bad actors who are trying to pass their pets off as
Right.
service animals. And our product just makes sure people follow the Fair Housing Act guidelines. That's all we're
Right.
set to do. And we're having a great time. And we really appreciate the support from
Yeah.
the industry. It's been crazy.
It's a whole other side of fraud that people don't
Yeah,
really talk
that's
about.
right.
There's,
You're
it's a
right.
whole
You're
other
right.
side of fraud. We talk about it a lot,
Yeah.
but this is a whole other way that it's a risk. It's
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like they need to have more of you folks on these fraud panels because it's another way that it's a risk, financial risk to an asset. And
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. I mean, every time someone slaps a vest on a dog, just because you put a vest on a dog doesn't make it so, right?
right.
And that's the myth that's out there. And I mean, it's a surprising stat: 60%, 60%
Yeah,
of the assistance animals are not actually assistance animals, meaning they don't meet the standard,
yeah,
which is a big number. So think about your properties, and if you have 100 assistance animals living in your portfolio, 60 of them probably legitimately don't meet the standard. So that's part of what we do, kind of keep everybody straight.
oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys, for doing this. And I
Yeah.
think I might go have a drink after that.
Enjoy. Happy
All right.
Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.
Let's do it. Happy
Yeah.
Friday.
All
Thanks
right.
for
Take
having me.
care.
John.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
great.
What a cool, I mean,
Uh,
like, politics. I was wondering, there was like that picture of George Washington in the background. I was like, there was something really, it looked very legal. That makes sense. He was in politics.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, John. Yeah, I mean, I think John's. It's been interesting. I think John's career. I mean, in politics, he was in politics when he started the
Yeah.
business, right? And I think that's pretty interesting. So he has that experience of really like dealing with kind of being like an ombudsman, right? I mean, ultimately, you kind of end up dealing with the back and forth between like I want my animal in, but also like the rules or restrictions are so high that it's hard to hit that, and you don't want people bringing in animals, under the cover of
Right.
darkness, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I can tell you in single family stuff, it's like it's just rife with
Yeah.
fraud and it's just rife with all that. But the problem is, it's just compounded in multifamily. And then at the end of the day, when you have people walking in the hallways and interaction occurs, -1 with a pet, then that's kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when we should have done some screening. That's when we should have found
Yeah.
out.
Hindsight. It's always the way. But yeah, very cool. I
Yep.
enjoyed that conversation. So what else? What news? What's been breaking? Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn
A
thinkers.
lot of LinkedIn
There's some
thinkers.
interesting. Yeah, there's some interesting posts this week, and I highlighted Brittany
Mm-hmm.
Miltner. I hope I'm saying your name right. Brittany was getting um, quite meta, if you will, just kind of like talking about. Brittany wasn't feeling very inspired. Like, what's the point of posting, right? I mean, like, there's a lot of people that post just kind of like spew stuff all over
Right.
the internet, right? And it just adds to the doom scrolling. Like, is it really valuable? Is it really moving the needle? And Brittany was talking about, you know, are we posting to make people connect or just to be seen? Are we commenting to engage or just to like stay in the algorithm, right? Are we just like doing it to be posting every
Yeah.
day? And if you're not job hunting, why post at all? I found that interesting, right? Because LinkedIn is, huge part of LinkedIn is
That
about
was
job hunting.
the origin of it for sure. This the Facebook for job seekers and job and employers and employees, people trying to fill positions, people looking for positions. It's definitely evolved over time. I know someone else posted about this. Danny Black.
Yeah.
She kind of said, "Hey, I think I might be doing it wrong. Like, what's the way that I, how can I post? A lot of folks, commented, consensus was there's no right or wrong way. It's it's like be authentic
Yeah.
to yourself. But she raised a lot of points. I think it touched a nerve. I mean, I think everyone says be authentic. Everyone says, shine lights on other people. Everyone says let's be helpful. But there's still a sense um, of chasing an algorithm, of trying to get noticed, of commenting on someone so that you're seen within those impressions versus your own. I shared a quote this week, which is like kind of on topic with this, which was if when you're thinking about going to comment or create or do anything, are you trying more to express something or to impress? Whether that's impressions or just impress like other people. Like, I think the why behind it, like, why are you doing it? Like, is something, as actors we learn, as good salespeople we learn, as probably founders, right? You guys are, thinking about the why.
Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes have to catch myself and remind myself that LinkedIn is not my therapist. So, but every once in a while we create posts that are kind of like therapy posts where we
Mhm.
just kind of throw our hands up and we're frustrated at the state of the
Yeah.
world or our current environment and we want to, connect with
Yeah. Just
people.
use ChatGPT for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You can. I mean, it's, I've seen people talk about that. It's like kind of working out a problem, be like, throw it in there. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but it's brainstorming. It's not a bad idea.
Well, speaking of
Hmm.
transparency,
Yeah, did you see this
although
news?
I will say, yeah, let me remove that Jay Parsons thing down there.
That was last week.
So yeah, right. So a part of the junk fees this is some interesting, news. Well, I say sort of news. Airbnb decided ahead of time to be transparent about all their fees and sort of remove fees and or be transparent, like showing the total
Yeah,
price. And ultimately, this came from like the Department of Justice. I mean, they said you can't have junk fees anymore. So this I think Airbnb is trying to sort of spin this and say, "Oh yeah, look at this great thing we're doing for you," when in reality they're being forced to do
yeah.
it and they're just
But,
getting away with
I
it.
mean, so this is Apartmentalize is coming up. I think I'll see you there, Eric. I think we've got some stuff to do. I'm going to be there the week prior for a client event. And so I'm actually just staying, out there. I'm not flying there and back. So I was just using Airbnb to look at a place I could go near Zion National Park. And literally, as I was doing this over the weekend, it changed. The format of this changed. And I will say it's not
Mm.
just the junk fees or just these other fees, but it's also the collective kind of, before they would show you per night, right? They would show you it's like $88 a night or $127 a night. And now they're showing you a collective, this is what this 3-night trip will cost you, including all the fees, including all the
Yeah.
nights, which is in some ways helpful. And I know, apartments are moving towards this too. Is what is the price you're going to be paying? There was a lawsuit in I think Denver. We didn't really talk about it a lot, but it was in one of the news feeds that we shared. Someone got sued because of the fees of the pricing that they had to end up paying. So they were like told one price, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden other prices came in, and so I think.
Yeah, they weren't including pest
Mhm.
control or, like these minute fees that when you add up, 6, 7, 8 of them, right? And like a pet fee is a good example of one, although if you have a pet, you should expect, I think in this day and age, you should expect to pay a little bit more. Otherwise, what happens is numbers wise, you actually have to assume that a certain amount of people will have pets. And if you don't charge a pet fee, then you kind of have to bake that into the price and everything kind of rises up. So instead, you charge that person who wants to have a pet
Yeah,
a fee,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and
But yeah, making that transparent. I think that's great if apartments are doing this more and more. They're not required to under
right,
law though, based on the junk
right.
fee ruling. So they were able to kind of skirt
Right.
out of that.
Yeah. So we talked about Apartmentalize. There's lots of events coming up before that. Whoa.
We'll go back to our
am
we'll
I
go back to
on?
our welcome here. Yeah.
There's lots of apartment conferences coming up today in Chattanooga. There's an apartment trade show next week. TAA happens a week after that. There's the AIM conference. So there's lots of people that are out and about. You kind of see it all over your feeds. And we do have one final thing. I think we found the hairball version for multifamily. And I think if we had to choose something in multifamily that is the most common hairball, not cats, not pets related, but I would say lint out of the dryer traps. What do you think?
This will be
The final thought.
right?
So there's this gentleman, JB Johnson. I've been following him for a while. I've talked about him a few times in my recaps. He does a lint trap of the week, and I think it's the best thing ever. I look at it every week. So JB, I look at your lint trap every single week. What you chose, what the story is. There's some kind of. I think it's brilliant. I just think it's brilliant. I think more people should be engaging with it because it's kind of shocking. This particular one, it actually fooled some folks. So if you go into the comment section, and I was guilty of it too. On a quick scroll, I thought this was a flank steak. And there's people that thought it was ribs.
It looks like it's missing the chimichurri. It's missing.
There's people that thought it was ribs. Yes. There's people that thought it was like, and so to me, this is the lint trap of all lint traps. Like I think there should be some mega like a prize that this came out of a lint trap. But yeah, we've had some gross images today. This isn't that gross though, I don't think.
Nice.
Close it out, Eric. Bring me home. Close it out.
I don't even want to. I don't know. Don't forget to hug a plumber. It's Hug a Plumber Day. Shout out to Mark A. Park from AAA Plumbers in Houston.
Awesome.
Make sure you get a hug. Thanks y'all for
have a good
watching.
weekend.